It might be past the middle point of the season, but we thought there's no harm in starting the show now. Welcome to the very first episode of FootyFox PL Prediction Show. Before the previous game week, we published the predictions on our website. Let's review how we did. In the first match, Wolves hosted Leicester. We went with a draw here, but in the last minutes of the game, the Foxes took all 3 points, winning 4-3. Next, we were expecting a much more thrilling game at Watford, but it ended up 0-0, with either side unable to score. Certainly a big miss here. For sure, a tough one to predict, but we thought Everton could at least get a point at St. Mary's. However, Saints won 2-1. So far we got it all wrong, but it gets better. The first one we got right is Newcastle winning against Cardiff, but I don't think anyone expected such a comfortable score. We've guessed Brighton will score 1 at Old Trafford, but United only scored 2, as you can see we were off by 1. At Anfield, we expected a comfortable Liverpool win, but it ended up being anything but. The final score was 4-3, which means we've got half of them right so far. At Bournemouth, a lot of people thought the Hammers were favourites, but we thought otherwise. As we expected, the hosts started aggressively, scored 2 and kept a clean sheet, which means we got the exact score right here, 2-0 to the Cherries. Arsenal won 2-0 against Chelsea, and that was our biggest miss of the game week, as we went for a Chelsea win, but we did expect a great game and it did not disappoint. Huddersfield didn't have much chance without a manager against City. We went with 4-0 to the visitors, but it finished 3-0. The last match was yet another occasion where we were off by 1 goal, and it was in the dying minutes again. Tottenham scored at the end to make it 2-1 away at Fulham. So to recap, 5 out of 10 correct results isn't too bad, but we'll strive for better next week. As for the exact scores, we did predict one correctly. Bournemouth winning 2-0 against West Ham. Time for some new predictions. The opening match of the Game Week 24 is Arsenal against Cardiff. Both teams have patchy form in the Premier League, but Arsenal was defeated by Man United in the FA Cup match on Friday, which is a significant blow. Arsenal isn't a second half team anymore, as they've scored first in 6 out of last 8 matches. On the other hand, Cardiff hasn't kept a clean sheet or scored in the last 4 matches in all competitions. However, the Gunners have 4 defenders out injured, so that's a significant boost for the Bluebirds. Looking at some other stats, Arsenal has significant advantage in shots, possession and expected goals. So for our prediction, despite Arsenal having a midweek game and many injury problems, we're going with a 3-1 home win. Claudio Ranieri is hoping for a turnaround this Tuesday against Brighton. They have 4 losses on the bounce, but both teams haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 4. You wouldn't guess it, but Fulham was first to score in 5 out of last 6 meetings between the two, and all those had 3 goals or more. Looking at some other stats, both teams aren't performing too bad in expected goals, but Fulham has more shots and significantly more ball possession. So for our prediction, we'll consider the past few matches and the overall situation at Fulham more than the stats here, and we'll go with 1-0 to Fulham. Next, we have a match between 2 teams in bad form. Huddersfield has no wins in the last 11, but appointed a new manager last week. Everton has 3 wins and 1 draw in the last 4 meetings between the 2 clubs. It's important to note that it was 1-1 at the Goodison in August. The Toffees are overperforming in expected goals, but they don't make much more passes or have much more possession than the hosts. Everton aren't exactly flying, but should get a win even though Huddersfield might get a new manager boost. We're going 2-1 to Everton. Wolves are at home to West Ham, and this should be a great game, thus it's hard to predict. Wolves haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 7 matches, and their last 4 out of 5 involved 3 goals or more. On the other hand, the Hammers had 2 goals or less. Wolves won at the London Stadium 1-0 in August. They have better stats when it comes to shots and expected goals, but both teams have less than 50% ball possession. It's a surprising stat, especially for Wolves, who have a very strong midfield. We're going for 1-1 here, both teams scoring but still under 3 goals. The Red Devils are flying in all competitions, while Burnley have been picking up form in the league. It's 8 out of 8 wins for Man United, 6 of those in the league, but Burnley has no losses in the last 4 in the league. Man United scored first in all 8 matches. It's important to say that Burnley got smashed 5-0 by City in the FA Cup. United are better in expected goals, even more so under Solskjaer, with almost 2, but considering the recent Burnley defeat, Dyche will ask for a response from his team. We expect a very tough match for United, and we're going for a shock 0-0. Don't laugh if Burnley gets smashed again. Manchester City are looking to catch Liverpool, but it's certainly not going to be easy for them at St James's Park. Newcastle only have 1 win and 1 draw in the last 18 against City. Both teams scored in last 4 out of 5, which is a little surprising. Man City matches involved at least 3 goals in 9 out of last 10. The citizens are very dominant in ball possession and total passes, so we expect Benitez to set up his side very defensively again, but they do pose a threat on the counter. We're going with a 3-1 win for the visitors here. Another interesting game is at Bournemouth, where Chelsea are looking to build upon their cup win, hoping they finally found a solution for their striker issues in Higuain. Chelsea didn't keep a clean sheet in the last 4 matches, while Bournemouth was first to concede in 4 out of last 5. In head-to-heads, the Londoners were first to score in 7 out of last 8 meetings. Looking at the attacking stats, Chelsea are dominant in possession, but aren't much better than Bournemouth in expected goals and shots. 2-0 to the visitors is our prediction for this one. Saints are looking for a 3rd successive win in the league, but Crystal Palace are looking to avoid a 3rd successive defeat. Saints didn't keep a clean sheet in last 4 matches, despite a draw and 2 wins. Their 8 out of 9 last games involved both teams scoring. Also, both of these teams were first to score in their last 4 out of 5 matches. Looking at the attacking stats, it's very hard to pick between the 2 teams. That's why we're going for a high-scoring draw. Liverpool had a lot of problems with Palace in the previous match, so they're hoping for an easier win this time. On the other hand, the Foxes were shook by a few defeats, and Claude Puel seems to be on the brink of losing his job, despite a good position in the table. There were at least 3 goals in 6 out of last 7 meetings between these two, and also both teams scored in 6 out of 7. The Reds are well prepared, as they didn't have a midweek fixture. It's clear Liverpool are big favourites here, but Leicester certainly has tools to score. That's why we predict 3-1 to the home side here. Last match of the game week is Tottenham against Watford, which will be very hard to predict considering the injuries Spurs have and that they've been knocked out of both cups in the last few days. No losses in 6 last matches for Watford, but they didn't keep a clean sheet in last 11 meetings against Spurs. Tottenham dominates in expected goals, but considering Kane and Dele Alli are injured and Son is away, this could be a meaningless stat. Spurs are looking to bounce back, but this might be the most testing period for Pochettino so far, so we're going for another shock result here and predict a 2-1 Watford win. So there you go, all 10 predictions done. We hope we'll at least match the last week's score, but that's quite unlikely considering most teams had cup matches. Let us know in the comments below where you think we got it wrong, or even better, post your full predictions. If you do better than us, we'll be sure to feature you on our website, social media or next video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next show. Until then, bye bye.